Alright, well, hello there. Welcome to my build guide for BlizzSpikes. Blizzard with IceSpikes. I like to call it BlizzSpikes. I've been playing Blizzard since I could put it on my skill bar. It's been a lot of fun. I thought it would be like Diablo 2, but Blizzard in Diablo 2 is a lot stronger than Blizzard in Diablo 4. The only reason Blizzard gets strong is because you have IceSpikes. Well, maybe the Blizzard in Diablo 2 had IceSpikes. But this aspect here gives us all the damage for a Blizzard, and we put one skill into Blizzard, but we'll get into that when we go over the skills. So we'll go over all my gear, skills, Paragon tree, everything we need to go make this build go crazy on the maps. It has crazy good AoE, fast clear, kiting play style. It's super good at staggering bosses, like insanely good, and once you stagger them, bosses just blink out of existence. Pretty much, yeah, it's just delete them. You can use a staff or you could use a wand. Doesn't matter. However you prefer. I feel the staff is a little bit more damage. The wand definitely. One, that guy was falling asleep. The wand and focus is definitely good. It's just not as much damage, but I feel like it might be just a little bit more agile to do a little bit more things because you get some cooldown reduction on the focus and more mana generation. Help keep your mana up, which is a struggle, but we can make this build very comfortable, very comfortable, and has a couple weaknesses. We stagger things and not do damage to them, they're going to become unstoppable, and that's a huge problem for this build. We have no way of doing damage to unstoppable enemies, and they'll just chase you down in the higher sigils, kill you. So we need to time our damage windows, and we need to manage our mana, the skills. Right now I'm using kind of a auto mana generator, and it works good, but I find there's bosses like the butcher and targets that I can't actually CC in a good amount of time. They will just drain my mana, and then I will down by them. Other than that, build's super strong. I have some videos about clearing that I've posted a couple days ago. If you want to see how it clears, just check those out. They're really good. One of them, it has a butcher kill in it. Managed to kill him on a level 105 level dungeon, so like 47 or 48 or something. I was like 84. Pretty strong. But enough about that. We'll get into the skills. So here we start with Frostbolt. Frostbolt's good because it applies vulnerability when they're frozen. So everything freezes. We tap this once into a group that's bunched up. Everything becomes vulnerable, and then so we go one into Frostbolt because we're not trying to do damage with it. Enhance Frostbolt to get Flickering Frostbolt. We go one into Firebolt, which we'll take as an enchant later on, as every cold source does. You need to get that fire damage somehow, get that huge crit multi. We take 2 into Devastation as we need a filler because we don't use any core skills in this build. And then here we take all our defensive skills. If you have skills from your boots and stuff, I don't take any skills into Flame Shield, but it's completely up to you. If you feel like you need the more duration, you can definitely do that. Maxing Teleport's huge. We're using Teleport to do a huge amount of our damage and to round enemies up into Blizzard. There's a playstyle around Blizzard. You can play it from a range. You can play it with the stun setup I have set up right now. And it's all about how you want to do damage and when you feel it's safe to do damage. And later on, as you will see, that this just absolutely devastates enemies. We go 4 into Glass Cannon, get 1 from our body armor, and put 3 into it ourselves. Damage, better. Ice Armor, we put 1 into Ice Armor and 1 into Enhanced Ice Armor. Helps with a little bit of mana. Depending on how you feel, you can get rid of this. All depends on your setup at the time. Frost Nova, we put 5 into Frost Nova. We got to get as much cooldown off of this, as this is going to be applying most of our vulnerability on targets that won't be frozen. We go Enhanced Frost Nova, and we go Mystical Frost Nova to apply the vulnerability. Go 1 into the line of elements, 3 into mana shield. Will give us shield 15% damage reduction almost all the time. We always have base spending 100 mana, so don't have to worry about upkeeping this. Protection, you get a little bit of barrier when you use a cooldown. It helps to keep your barrier up if you're teleporting in the enemies, and you'll get hit a couple times from a few staggered or mobs that are not getting staggered. Then this just helps deflect some of that damage so you don't. 3 into Icy Veil so that we get barriers increased in duration. This will help us just keep our barriers up. More barriers, more damage, more tanky. 1 into Blizzard because Blizzard is trash and we don't want to do any damage with it, because even if you max this out, it'll still do no damage. Enhanced Blizzard because you get a longer duration on Blizzard at least, and we will cast Blizzard mostly about 50 mana, so this just gives us more uptime on. 1 into Inner Flames to reach Devouring Blaze. This is giving us a huge crit multi, and our amulet is giving us +3 to it, so now we're 6 out of 3. 150% damage to immobilized enemies. Pretty strong. I like it a lot. Damage. I'm testing this little cluster here. I think it'll help me clear faster and maybe help take elites out in the first freeze duration, because in the second freeze duration, if they come out of that, then I'm unstoppable and I just do a little bit more damage. So I was testing to see how much damage this does, but not sure if it's worth it. If you were not going to be going this, then I would be putting these skills into whatever is here. So Flame Shield or Ice Armor, whatever you need extra. Get your defenses up a bit more. Take this cluster here. Don't take Frigid Breeze because we don't have Lucky Hit. Kind of simple. This is never going to proc and never going to give you mana, so not worth it. Blizzard sucks for proccing lucky hits, as the lucky hit only counts on the initial cast, not any of the spikes coming down. And our ice spikes do not have a lucky hit proc chance, so lucky hits for us. I guess you get a little bit of lucky hit from teleport, but since this says cold damage, teleport's lightning, so not gonna work. We take Shatter for the ultimate because more damage. We don't need this. Blizzard doesn't do damage. And not good at all. And that is the abilities. Pretty simple. Mostly damage. Take your defenses here and go. For gear, this is where it gets a little more on the high end part of things, but you can do this at any part of leveling and have a good build. You just won't see the big. You get a little bit min-maxed. So for the helm, there's crucial stats for each piece. We're gonna want the cooldown reduction, and we're gonna want the armor. Armor is a huge part of pushing Nightmare Sigils, high tiers. You're gonna need a lot of armor. If you want to push 100s, you're gonna need plus 15k armor. Sorcerer can't really reach that, so we have to rely on off-screen abilities and freezing everything. Eventually I want to push, but right now I'm only 85, so it's kind of hard. I'm pushing 20 tiers or 20 levels above me right now, so I feel like once I hit 100 I could do 120 easy, probably better since I'll have better rolled gear. So far this is what I got. So we use 2 Cast of Frost Nova here. This just helps us keep vulnerability up longer on targets, more consistent, and then by the time the vulnerability runs up, I've staggered the boss and reapplying vulnerability because it counts as frozen, and I hit it with super simple. We're using the unique chess piece. This pulls everything to you when you teleport, stunning everything, giving us more damage, giving us our stun chance, and giving us the ability to do huge damage to stun targets. As you'll see in our Paragon tree, we get a lot of damage from doing damage to stun targets, and it's really nice. From here, we got 15% attack speed for the gloves. That is absolutely crucial, along with the crit strike chance. We need crit, we need attack speed to get as many blizzards out to stack and do damage. The other two stats, the lucky hit chance, like I told you, not very great for this build. I was seeing if maybe it procced every once in a while, but I can't notice any big changes in my mana consumption, so I would probably roll this off. I think I'm in the millions for these set of gloves, but these gloves are pretty good. All stats, you can change that out, whatever you feel comfortable with. Not too sure what you would go with. Maybe intelligence instead of all stats. That extra DR from resistances that also suck, and damage. Legs, we were just going all defenses. Damage reduction, life. I'm not sure if it's the best. You definitely need a high HP pool, and with barriers, you're double dipping a little bit. So I'm trying to put life on I have to see if it actually helps, but being only level 85, I have low life anyways, so it doesn't really matter till I get level 100 and actually be able to test it. Oh my gosh. Here we have our boots. These boots give us reduced evade cooldown by 1.2 seconds. That's pretty crucial because in our build we're using teleport as an aspect or an enchant along with firebolt, but teleport as an enchant will put teleport on your evade slot, and putting it on a, I believe, 12-second cooldown, which can get lowered with cooldown recovery. This allows us to teleport, attack a bunch, and get our teleport up before we kill the next pack, so that we can teleport to the next pack with just this. There is potentially a scenario where you can take teleport off your skill bar if you feel like you are comfortably stunning everything quick enough, and put deep freeze on. Allows you to have a third immunity that gives you your cooldowns back when spec'd into it, and gives you a time where you can actually be immune during the whole unstoppable phase of an elite. So say you're blizzarding and you don't do enough damage, the mob goes unstoppable and starts chasing you down. You teleport away, and once he gets to you, you ice armor, and he can sit there and hit you all he wants. You're not going to do damage to him, he's not going to do damage to you, but all of a sudden when you're out of that ice armor, he can be frozen again, and you pop your freeze on him and you kill him instantly. Yeah, it just keeps you safe from that scenario, which will happen, especially if the elite set back up a lot and teleport away. They're gonna hurt you, make things messy. So that's yeah, defenses on the legs, just DR, we're good. Boots, here we're going with the VA cooldown so that the teleport goes crazy. Go mana cost reduction, that's crucial, and skills to all our defenses. On these boots we have attacks reduce evade cooldown by 1.2 seconds. We use this because we need our teleport that we're running as an enchant come up as we spam our blizzard. This is allowing us to teleport into a pack, spam our blizzard, and by the time we kill that pack, their teleport will be back up on our evade and we can teleport away. There is a world where we don't need our teleport on our bar here, and we can run IceSpikes. This is going to allow, or not IceSpikes, sorry, Deep Freeze. Deep Freeze is going to allow us to have this unique scenario where the monster goes unstoppable and you need to survive because he's chasing you down. You can't kill him because you don't do any damage to him because you haven't CC'd him in any way, and that's where you get all your damage from. So we Deep Freeze, we'll teleport away, and then when he gets to you, you Deep Freeze and you wait it out. He's not going to do damage to you, you're not going to do damage to him, but by the time you're out of your Deep Freeze, you're going to be able to CC him again and kill him very easily. So this just gives you that ability in dungeons when it gets a little messy and you need a time to just chill. Will help you. But I find that we need both teleports because there are times where I mess up a teleport or something doesn't get pulled properly, or I just need extra damage on an elite that showed up randomly, so I have a second teleport. They're on different cooldowns, so they work very well with each other. On the rest of the boots, we got mana cost reduction, very much needed, and stats or skills to all our defense abilities. Flame shield, ice armor, and teleport. This brings the cooldown down on everything, barriers up, duration up. It's just really strong, and really not much else you can do. Could drop ice armor and flame shield, and you can go with movement speed and maybe some resource generation or something else that rolls nicely on boots. You can take them out, but you definitely need teleport. All right, so here we have our staff. We have intelligence on it, which it's okay. It's a big number of intelligence, but you would rather have some sort of damage. Like, I'm not actually sure what you would want to roll on this, but a high, I would say probably crowd control damage, something that rolls high, because that's CC. All right, so here we have our staff. The staff is not bad, but could be better. You could have 4 damage rolls on it instead of having intelligence, but intelligence isn't so bad. You got vulnerability damage, which you definitely need, crit damage, which you definitely need, and damage to stunned enemies, which if you're running this version of the build with the stun, you definitely need. Here we put our blizzard aspect on it. That puts our IceSpikes on our blizzard and gets double the efficiency when you put it in a staff, so it's doing big damage. One tip when you're doing this aspect, if you want to extract it out of something, make sure you're saving high item power aspects of this type, because if you don't have a high item power, that blue number is going to be very low, and it's not going to go on to your high item power level item very efficiently. Like so you will only get a 500 item power item on a 800 item power staff, and it's just not very good. I don't think it's working properly, but I can't say for sure because I haven't heard anything about it. It was very hard to find this aspect, and I got lucky with the perfect roll on like a 801 or something, so it was a little bit lower than the total item power of this, and that's why the number is not 2687 and it's 2584, because what I had on the old item was the blue number times 2, and what it could have rolled was 2687. And yeah, it's just, I think it's a broken system and needs to be fixed. Right, so here we have our amulet. This amulet is pretty good. It has 3 Devouring Blaze, which gives us that huge crit multi, gives us mana cost reduction, gives us total armor, gives us cooldown reduction. All huge stats for the build. If you can get these anywhere, you need them all. We put in more damage to frozen, stunned, and mobilized enemies. This is a huge multiplier for damage. It's not additive, it's multiplicative, so it's 53% more damage after all your damage is added together. It's just a big damage multiplier and half the reason we do so much damage. We're running crit damage in the ring, crowd control to enemies, crit strike chance, and resource gen. All these are very good stats, and you would want to see them in your other ring too. I imprinted this one with Umbral to give 4 mana when we crowd control an enemy. I find that it's more of an auto generation type way to generate mana. You can do the one where you restore mana when you use cooldowns, but I haven't experimented with that yet. I've been trying with this, and I know that this is not so bad, but you'll find where you run out of mana versus, let's say, someone like the Butcher, someone that you can't CC right away, is very tanky. You'll slowly run out of mana and have to find ways to survive or regenerate your mana by finding new enemies if you can and getting mana from them. Here on our second ring, resource gen, vulnerability damage, crit strike damage, and crit strike chance. This is actually a very GG ring, and I wish I had higher rolls in the resource gen, because vulnerability damage is absolutely huge, because it's a way for us to do damage outside of CCing things. And that's the items. Oh, and sorry, this is the other IceSpikes. aspect that we're running. It gives us increased explosion radius, which allows our ice spikes to overlap each other and make more hits, essentially. Yeah, and that's the items and aspects. And now we will go into the Paragon. All right, so going over the Paragon board now. Gonna go over it real quick and look at it in the build planner that I eventually attached video. Haven't made it quite yet, but it is a work in progress, and I will get it updated as soon as possible. But essentially, we're working our way through here. We're going to take Elementalist. We're going to take the nodes to get Elementalist active. We're going to move on to Icefall board, where we take Frostbite, and we take the Legendary node. We take this little cluster here, plus more damage to chilled enemies. We move on to the disconnection screen. All right, back to where we were. So we're going to be taking the Frigid Fate board next, putting in Tactician, leveling it up, putting all the dex nodes we can, grabbing the vulnerability damage here, grabbing vulnerability damage here, moving up to the Static Surge board where we're grabbing all the stun damage to enemies clusters here, here, here. We're gonna put in Exploit for the glyph. Meet the requirements for that bad boy. It's really strong. Come over here. Come over here to control. We're just pathing through to get the glyph in there. We'll take some damage to burning enemies. We'll take this one here with the damage to leads. Don't know if we'll go attack speed. This is potentially a cluster we can take. Find extra points. And then eventually when we get enough points, we're going to move up to Searing, where we're going to put Flame Feeder in it and just take the node there, and there'll be a rare node close by giving us damage. Check that out right now. Searing Heat preview. Crit strike damage 15%. Not bad. So yeah, that's the Paragon board. It's a work in progress for me because I'm still missing 90 points, so it's quite a few points. I hope you enjoyed the build. I've been enjoying playing it a lot. It has been a joy to play. I can hear all kinds of content with it. It has never been a problem, and whenever it has been, I've been able to upgrade my gear and just make something else work and continue to push. One thing I did forget to go over is our enchants here. I use Firebolt to make everything go on fire, and I use Frostbolt to proc fire. I use Frost Nova to proc fire, but most importantly, I use my teleport to proc that fire. Every time we teleport into a group, we stun, we set everything on fire, and then we start blizzarding. Everything just starts dying under. A lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy playing it. If you enjoyed the build, and one of my first build guides I've ever made, one of the most extensive build guides I've ever made, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, like on the video, great to hear the support, and let me know how it goes for you guys.